TNC, Original African Stories. Listener discretion is advised as this podcast may contain violence or strong language. Previously on My Name is A-Zed.
I spoke to Fadeke a lot too. I had made up my mind to get her a gift, but I wasn't exactly sure what to get. Well, so I thought, till I got talking to Deborah one of the days I was at Uncle Mufu's house.
Here, what do you think?
Oyamagbo, make sure you visit your mother as often as possible and to also take good care of your aburos.
Hello?
Birthday girl.
I'm already on campus and I'm walking towards your hostel.
No wahala, I'm waiting. Happy birthday. Again, I looked into her eyes. She closed her eyes and I moved closer.
Azeez, where are you now? It's almost 7. Azeez, if I could do this without you, I would. Please, I really need you right now.
And that wasn't so expected, was it, Mr. Azeez?
As she got closer, I didn't believe it. Kassy opened the door and got into the back seat. Did Princess and Kassy cut their visit short so they could join Senior for another job? You can take the car.
Shut up. Where is she?
Where is she? I don't know. I don't know.
It's coming with us. Let's go.
It sounded distant at first. The now familiar sounds of footsteps moving closer and closer. This time though, it was louder. Probably more people. Maybe they finally come to take me away. Maybe they found the right ritual to use me for, or the right slave camp to sell me to. Slave camp. What was I thinking? I was finally losing it, and for good reason too. For what seemed like endless days, I had been moved up and down, pushed around from one vehicle to another till I finally got my current position with absolutely no idea where I was or am. I had been blindfolded from the moment they threw me into the backseat of that Jeep. It must have been days since then. My kidnappers. No, I doubt I have been kidnapped. For what? What? Who could possibly pay any ransom placed on me? I sat on the floor in the darkness, eyes still blindfolded, thinking, wondering, asking questions I had no answers to. I initially tried yelling, screaming out for help with the hope that someone somewhere around could come to my aid. But it seemed my abductors couldn't care less. Once the door to the room I was being held in was shut, that was it. They kept me well fed though. For kidnappers or whatever they were, the quality of food they fed me was impressive. Almost as if this was a twisted kind of fattening room. As if I was being buttered up for a special event. A special day. A special day like this one perhaps. When I heard those footsteps coming towards me, my heart began beating faster. I thought the time had come for me to meet my fate. As I said yet another silent prayer underneath my breath, thoughts of people, loved ones, Mama, Fadeke, Uncle Mufu, and even Princess flashed through my mind. I had replayed the events of that night over and over again, and I was so sure the kidnappers were out to get Princess. I pray they don't get her. Just then, the door opened, and I heard the sounds of feet shuffling. The kidnappers never said much, if anything at all, probably some kind of training. And then, it flickered. Lights! Through my blindfold, I could tell that they had turned on the lights. It instantly made me more conscious of what was going on around me. As I was trying to adjust to this new condition, I heard a scream and a loud thud. It sounded as if someone was being shoved against the wall. A female. Moments later, I heard the sound of my abductor's footsteps fading away, and they were replaced by the silent sobs of my new co-occupant. I tried to listen, hoping the sounds weren't familiar, hoping it wasn't Princess. And then,
He said,
Kassy. Oh no. If they got Kassy, then chances are they got Princess too. Where's Princess? How did they get you? Her sobs began to reduce, and I heard her move closer to me. I could almost make out Kassy's figure as she stood beside me and began untying my blindfold. The blindfold came off, and my eyes fluttered, trying to get used to the light. I felt Kassy checking my bound hands, trying to see if she could untie them too, but as I knew I had handcuffs on, There was certainly no hope. The men had put them in hours before they brought in Kassy. My eyes cleared up and I looked at Kassy. She looked okay, safe for her slightly ripped top. Trust her to put up a fight. She looked sad and defeated, like a prisoner who had been sentenced to death. Maybe that was what we were. Sitting cows, waiting to be slaughtered. But I didn't want to think about that. I still had too many questions floating uncontrollably around my head. Maybe Kassy could answer some of them. Before I said anything, Kassy dropped to the floor, sitting right beside me. I had never seen her so downcast. Not even when I said no to her offer of running away with her. Kassy, what's going on? Did they get Princess too? Is she okay? Kassy's response was a mixture of wild laughter and loud tears, which vanished almost immediately as it started. Is she okay? Have they injected her with something, or what's wrong with her? I thought to myself.
Isn't life just a funny bitch?
What are you talking about, Kassy?
I'm talking about our fucking escape. I escaped from all of this. And why do you even keep asking me about Princess? Why?
She said, yelling. What are you talking about? Both of you got into Senior's car. That was when...
So it's always been her, not your little girlfriend. It's her, isn't it?
She said as she looked me straight in the eyes. Kassy, are you okay? What's all this that you're saying? Kassy then broke into another bout of sobs. It lasted longer this time. And the sobs slowly became tears. She was a mess. Nothing I said got her attention. I sat there beside her, watching teardrops fall from her wide eyes, and concluded that she must have been drugged or something. This wasn't the Kassy I knew.
I told her it would go wrong.
Kassy started saying. Then she looked at me, shook her head, and said,
I'm so sorry, Azeez. Princess isn't who you think she is. She's not.
What? So, who is she? Kassy took a deep breath.
So it started months ago. Princess was just like the rest of us. We weren't even prostitutes or call girls like some prefer to be called. We merely had aristos, those wealthy older men who took good care of us, and they really did well. Despite being the daughter of famous Chief George, Princess wasn't directly a beneficiary of her father's wealth, so she wasn't well-to-do. She just lived with her mother, who was a simple woman, but Princess longed to be identified with her father's wealth. It was like it took over her, that need. So when I and some of the girls moved into her room in Moremi as part of our plans to act as students, it was as if that was all she had been waiting for. Her curiosity got the better part of her, and she wanted the clothes, she wanted the jewelry, she wanted the cars. We became friends, and then in no time, she became a member of the crew. But all the other girls hated her. They hated the life out of her. It was more like jealousy, because Princess used all her assets, to get what she wanted, and in no time, she was far better off than some of the other girls who had even been in the crew for years.
I straightened my body and continued listening to Kassy.
Then sometime, I think early last year or so, a friend got us a gig as escort girls for politicians during one of those their big parties somewhere in Gombe. Princess was reluctant, but I made her go. You push her now. I gingered her plenty. So we're drafted to rooms, and some way, somehow, when Princess's Mark walked into the room, it turned out to be her father.
Kassy paused while staring at me. Maybe she expected some kind of reaction.
Anyway, that was when everything changed. Princess disappeared for a while, only for her to return as a true princess. She had moved in with her father, had a brand new car to herself, and then moved to a room in high rise. We all thought her daddy had finally decided to be a part of her life and then she will no longer roll with us. Hey, we were wrong. Princess selected a handful of us, formed a new crew. She started getting invites and passes to high-end parties and events. Hey, the prices were higher per girl, and even some came in foreign currencies, dollars, pounds, what we haven't seen before. When I asked her, she simply told me she was thriving on her dad's connections. Can you imagine? That was until the incident at Otumba's house.
Otunba?
Otunba Adebayo now. His guards almost killed you and Princess in that swamp.
Oh, Chief?
I was supposed to work with Princess that day, but I had to travel to Cameroon. My mother died the night before. So I recommended some girls for her. Princess didn't even give me details, not until it all went wrong. You know, Princess's dad and Otunba, they belong to the same political party.
Yeah.
But it's no secret where their allegiances lie. While Otunba is forming strong supporter of the present government, Chief George supports the opposition within the party, and he is hell-bent, seriously strong on ensuring Alhaji Abubakar wins the party's presidential primaries. So when he walked into his hotel room in Gombe that day and saw Princess, instead of shame, feeling, he saw opportunity, my dear.
Opportunity? What do you mean? His own daughter?
What do you think? What was the best way to infiltrate the enemy's camp? A traitor now. Princess was already selling her body after all. So Chief just thought he could as well sell it for the right price. And then in the process, help her father gain some dirt to use against his political enemies.
Wow.
See matter. Chief could get Princess everywhere and anywhere, especially his party events, as long as she posed as an escort girl. But for that, she needed an agent, and that's where you came in.
I sat up again. Me? An agent? What? Is this all true? Or is Kassy reacting to whatever drug it is they must have given her and making all this up? My thoughts were everywhere, but I continued listening.
Once she could get to Otunba and get something incriminating enough to use against him, they could make him sway his delegates at the convention to vote for Alhaji Abubakar. Princess had been seeing Otunba for a while before he eventually invited her over to his house. The girls I sent to her were just to pose as a distraction while Princess got whatever it was she needed. But you see, this life, that was when one of the inexperienced girls now became too greedy and ended up stealing some money and even some drugs from Otunba. Hey, Princess lost all the trust she had built up with Otunba, and then he ordered his boys to have both of you killed.
Zeno!
Yes. That near-death experience, it shook Princess, but she still did not wake up from her foolishness to realize just how much her father had been using her. He now told us to fake HIV test results. Then he introduced us to Senior, who got us into the party at Abeokuta, and consequently gave us another opportunity at nailing Otunba.
Wait, what? It's fake? It's fake? Wow.
Yes, so a former customer of mine who works at Wellington Hospital got them done for us. After all, we needed something credible.
But for what? What were you going to do with it?
It didn't matter. After what happened at Otumba's house, Princess thought it was all over, as there was no way Otunba could find out she was still alive. But Chief was just pushing us, using Senior to go to the Abeokuta party. He needed Otunba to trust Princess again, and his plan was very simple. Princess was to save his life from an assassination attack. A planned assassination attack.
Oh no. Tommy?
Then you see that Debby? That one, she almost ruined our plans when she now counseled on us hours before the party. And Princess was now skeptical about using inexperienced girls. But she had no option now but to change her mind when her father wouldn't budge. Tommy was young, impressionable, and eager to please. Ginger was just in her body. It wasn't hard to set her up to look like she wanted to poison Otunba. And then who was now there to save the day? Princess. Do you know that Otunba made her fire the shots herself? That sick bastard.
I watched as Kassy's face tensed up, and I remembered the party at Abeokuta. While I was with Senior and Balogun, the gunshots. Princess killed Tommy. And that could have been Debby. I prayed secretly in my heart then that Kassy was making all this up. It was all too much to take in at once.
It was at that point that Junior came into the picture.
Junior?
Yeah, now, Otumba's son.
But he's also against his father's political position, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Still a member of the same party, but he and his father are estranged because Otunba would not support his ambition to run in his state's governorship elections. Princess met Junior on one of her numerous visits to Otumba's house, and he offered her a way out.
Which is?
A way to pay back her father for all the horrors he had gotten her involved in, and also to help him get to his father. It was suicidal, but if we could pull it off, it would mean vengeance for Princess and a lot of money for me.
And?
Junior wanted us to leave Chief and Otunba alone and strike the very top.